I was hoping to support local business, but there's really nothing here.
It's time to set off for the Tennessee portion of the Transamerica Trail. And I think we just need to get on the road and make our way up to Andrews, North Carolina to start the trail.
I started out from Atlanta, Georgia on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. As I mentioned in the DR650 TAT preparation video, there are several different routes for the TAT, but I chose to start at the beginning of Sam Carrero's route in Andrews, North Carolina.
Oh man, what a beautiful morning. To tell you the truth, I'm a little terrified. I have no idea of what I'm going into. If I can get out of this without drowning the bike, I'll feel pretty good about myself.
In researching the Tennessee portion of the TAT, one of the most common warnings was about wide water crossings. Since I was alone, the prospect of fording rivers in the middle of nowhere had me a little worried. Water crossings can be very different experiences depending on the season, so there wasn't much that I could do about it except to promise myself that I would turn back if things got too crazy.
Andrews, North Carolina, next stop.
I traveled a few miles on the highway, but it wasn't too long before the GPS began routing me onto smaller and smaller roads, and soon I was rolling through North Georgia countryside punctuated only by the occasional small town. I passed the time yelling at billboards outside of Ellijay,
Call 1-800-BIG-MAC,
and counting dollar stores, which everyone knows are second in popularity only to God himself. A few hours later, I found myself in Andrews, where I hoped to grab some lunch before hopping on the trail.
Well, if the signs are to be believed, we're finally in Andrews. Ooh, and it is not a big town.
Yeah, looking at Google, it looks like that's about it.
I just want something to eat that's not McDonald's.
Okay, Christ. All right, we're fueled up. Close enough to the trail now that I can pull it up on my Trail Tech unit.
You've got to be kidding me. I had a 50-50 shot and I'm going exactly the wrong direction. Is that the start? I'm confused, bro. This is the official fucking start of the trail. We're here. It's so different. From what I've heard, a lot of these trails have been gravel-fied or even paved in the last few years. So right now, I'm not really sure when to expect dirt.
Thankfully, it wasn't long before I hit a dead end.
One lane road with turnouts. This must be the place.
The first 15 miles of the trail saw me snaking up lonely, winding gravel roads as they ascended into the Tennessee mountains. The bike felt heavy with gear at these low speeds, but the roads were so full of blind switchbacks that I felt obligated to be cautious. It wasn't long before I began to worry about my progress.
This is where the 80-mile ride to Tellico starts to take on some significance, because if you're only going 10 to 15 miles per hour, then it's going to take a long damn time.
This first part of the trail was gorgeous, but I was battling anxiety about mileage for much of the day. I guess that I had expected something of a gradual transition from road to trail, and as I continued to climb, the road got rockier and became more like a well-tended jeep trail. I was starting to wonder just how long I'd be heading up into the mountains, and exactly where I'd be once the sun started going down. It had become a really gorgeous afternoon for a ride, but as anyone who lives in the mountains will tell you, the clear nights are the really cold ones.
Made it down to some gravel now, and I seem to be heading down the other side of the mountain, which, although it was beautiful, this is no disappointment for me because I I was really having to drag ass up there. I do have a fair degree of doubt that I'm going to get to Tellico Plains tonight. And I've been averaging probably somewhere between 8 and 15 miles per hour. And it's winter, so the sun's going to go down in 2 or 3 hours. Oh, hey, we do have a cabin now. If I break my leg, I'll go back there. Here's where we'll make up our time. A lot of it's supposed to be like this.
The action cam just doesn't do justice to the antiquated beauty of the Tennessee landscape, and I was constantly tempted to pull over and explore further. I convinced myself to stop here and there to take it all in, but my primary concern was getting some miles laid down when the opportunities presented themselves.
My first of what I'm sure will be several wrong turns this trip. I need to be down in that valley instead of up here. I'm still very torn about exactly when to stop. Sunset's probably at 5:30 or something, but it gets super dark in the woods, in the mountains, very quickly. I kind of told myself I'd be off the road and getting situated by 4 p.m., which is less than an hour from now. Let's see, wow, it smells like a wet bear. Seriously, it smells like a huge wet animal, like an enormous wet dog. Next time I pull over, check our mileage out, and if we're within 20 or 30 miles, I say we keep going. I will feel a little more confident if we can get to, you know, a little town, a little gas station and shit. Nice little campsites. We've gone only 37 miles. All right. There's some nice campsites back there. Some real nice campsites. And I don't know if they're going to continue to be. So I'm really torn about whether to stop and take advantage of it. Now let's see whereabouts we are.
Outside Cherokee. Oh Lord, we lost. Right in here. I think if we head for those next campsites, we're going to burn too much daylight. And I'm not going to have any time to prepare. So I think that's got to be that. Now the thing is, these campsites aren't really marked on that map. There could be campsites all along this entire corridor. I'm thinking it might be best if I start heading back.
Man, people come way the fuck out here and litter. Swear to God. Got some old firewood. Got some fucking trash because people are fucking animals. the fuck is all this shit? Man, are fellow fucking riders leaving this shit here? What the fuck, man? Fucking...
I spent the next hour or so gathering and prepping firewood and hanging the hammock. Since the sun would be going down so early, I knew that I'd have a lot of time on my hands after hours. I've got a confession for you. I've never made a fire in the woods on my own before. Now, if I recall anything about fire making, I need to stop fucking with it before I fuck it up. For dinner, I had brought along a tiny camp stove that uses solid fuel pellets, and I carried a few freeze-dried meals with me at all times. Night number 1 was Mountain House chili, which might have been a bad choice. And there we go. The chili, if you've never eaten chili from a bag, it's only as bad as normal shitty chili. The fire is active and happy now. I don't think I'm going to have any trouble keeping it going, and I can probably get most of these kind of junkier logs to burn, or at least ember. So yeah, I'd say I am super excited about how TAT Day 1 is finished up. As I had talked about earlier, I considered going further, but I stopped partially because there were some nice campsites with existing fire pits, and partially because there were other people around. I'm going to drink a little more whiskey, maybe try and read a book later, but other than that, it's time to just stoke the fire and kill some time being a fucking human being, right? Let's take a look at the GPS. So here is my tablet where I'm using Backcountry Navigator Pro. I've downloaded this whole area, the whole Tennessee portion of the TAT. There is Andrews, North Carolina, where we started. So, looks like a little distance, right? But, check this out. You'll notice that this one is labeled map number 1. There are 11 or 12 maps for Tennessee, for the TAT. So, if you look and compare the features of the road, we're only in the Nantahalah game lands. So you see those two crooks. There they are right there. So we're only here. So we're still on map number 1. We'll get a lot more in tomorrow. I'm going to start earlier than I did today, period, and be on the trail the whole time, whereas the first 3 hours of the day today were dedicated to getting to the beginning of the trail. So I know I'll cover a lot more ground, but it's still shocking. I only covered like 35 miles, and a lot of it was paved. So it's not like the whole way with the mountain roads. At any rate, really couldn't have asked for a better way to finish the day. Continue to drink, and then probably get in the hammock and try and do some reading. And maybe get some rest early. I mean, it's still only maybe 7:30, but it is jet black out here. I mean, you cannot see a thing. So there's really not a lot for me to do. I'm in bed, and I gotta say, I think I'm gonna be comfortable. The sleeping pad actually spreads the hammock out in a way that keeps the sides away from me a little bit too, which is nice. It should be noted that I am also wearing long johns, jeans, thick hiking socks, a t-shirt, a thermal shirt, and a puffy jacket. And I'm in a sleeping bag. So I don't think that this setup would work if I wanted to sleep in pajamas, but I don't really care about that. I'm more interested in not waking up at 4 in the morning fucking insanely cold. That's it. I think I'm signing off for day 1 officially. I'm pretty tired at this point. I've had a little bit of whiskey, so I think a book will put me right to bed.